So we started off last class with our value scale, and I showed you how to make this with your white, light gray, gray, dark gray, and black. And remember, those were those ratios of 0 black, 4 white, and then, you know, 1 black, 3 white, and you can see it goes on. If you're using a regular pencil and not a like charcoal or white chalk, then you leave out that white. The white would be considered your paper. So then it's 0 of pencil, 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers. Okay? We do not have to do another grayscale today. Another value scale today, because we still have ours from last class. So use this as your reference, and we are going to draw this that we see. So I have taken on my paper and I have labeled it gray sphere. And now I'm going to start with the contours. So I'm going to draw in the contour that I see, which is that outline of the sphere. And you should be following along and doing that with me. Remember, my cast shadow might be a slightly different shape than yours because of my perspective. I'm looking at it from this perspective, and you're looking at it from this perspective. You will have in the assignment, which you should have access to after class today, an image, a photograph of the sphere, of the gray one, and then the other two that we're going to do, so that you can see the values easier in case you don't finish in class. So remember, you would draw these with whisper lines, but I'm drawing a lot darker so that you can see what I'm doing. Then I draw the values, the shapes of the values I see. I see this line here and this line here that are two different values on my cast shadow. So I draw those. And then I draw that one that I see. And I look on my sphere here and I draw that cast shadow. I have another cast shadow here and another one here. And I've drawn the cast shadows that I see. If you feel confident and you would like to work ahead on your own, then please do so. If this is the first time you've done this with me, or you're a little unsure about how to complete this, then yes, you can stay and work alongside of me and what I'm doing. Follow along with me. So are there questions so far? Do thumbs up in your camera if you're ready to go, or say ready in the chat. You can raise your hand, and that just tells me that you're ready for me to add my values. Good, thank you. Anybody else ready? Okay, good. Excellent. Now is when I come through and I identify my values in my sphere that I see. So I look, and I'm going to start with my cast shadow here, and I see the, whoops, don't move. I see that this part right here is that darkest black right there. So that's 4 layers of my pencil. Then I see that this part right here, that part of the cast shadow, is gray. So that's only 2 layers of my pencil. And this part right here is dark gray. So that's 3 layers of my pencil. So I'm going to start with that. And even though it is a cast shadow, I am still going to add my value in the direction that it goes. And notice I'm saying value, not color, because you want to make sure, remember, value is the lightness or darkness of the color. It is how light or dark it looks. And I'm paying attention to the shape of those values and not the color. And that's important because this whole sphere is gray. I know that the color of it is gray. But if I look at the value, I see black here. I see dark gray here. I see gray here. I see light gray and white here. That's why it's important for you to know the difference. And remember, even though it's a cast shadow, I'm still going to go in that direction that it goes. This one right up here is my gray, which means it's 2 layers. And this one is my dark gray, which means it's 3 layers. And I've applied all of these with the same amount of pressure so that they can all be the same. And even though I'm doing this in a layered, like in a cross hatching, I'm still keeping it in that same direction. So there's my gray. I've added 2 layers there. Now I'm gonna come here for my black, which is 4 layers. So I'm adding my next layer. And some of you might think that your pencil, like it doesn't get black, like not very dark, like your darkest still looks gray. And that's okay as long as you're consistent with all of your values, as long as you're using that value chart as your guide. Does anybody have any questions, or would anybody like to show me what they've progressed with so far? No? All right. I need to make sure y'all were still there. And then this one. Cora. Sorry. I have a very large dog, and for some reason he has started to eat our stuffed animals and Barbie doll shoes. Like, who knows? He just had one on his mouth. Okay, so there we go. We have black, or the darkest value. We have here gray, and then we have our dark gray here. So you can see the difference, hopefully, of how it goes from gray to dark gray to black. All right? Yes, you could do that. Yes, Jared, you can do that. Yes. All right? But you're going to have, so today, yes, you can do that. That's fine. For these assignments, you don't have to do a reflection, but for the assignments starting next week, you will also in your comments write a written reflection, right? And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add my value in the direction that it goes, all right? So if y'all understand this, I'm going to go a little faster, unless y'all need me to slow down. But because I am receiving like messages that you're ready, then I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna speed it up just a little bit. So this was gray, but then I have a slightly darker gray there. Y'all might not see that value because it's on this side of the sphere, or you might just be able to see the edge of it. But I want for you to draw what you see, because remember, I'm at that different perspective. Like right here, that's a little lighter for me, because remember, every shadow has a highlight and every highlight has a shadow. That's going to be that balance. Okay. And this right here is my gray sphere with my values. Now you can leave it like this. You can take, if you have a stump, you can take the stump and you can start to smooth that out so that it will get rid of those brush strokes. It doesn't matter if you can still see them. It doesn't hurt anything, right? So I'm going to smooth that out. If you got a bag from me, and I didn't use charcoal today because students said last class they weren't going to use the charcoal, so that's why I'm sticking with the pencil. You can use a Q-tip for that blending. You can use your finger, which remember is an artist's greatest tool, or their hands, right? Or you can use a tissue if you have one of those. So that's my gray one. Now, unless I hear in the chat that you're not quite ready, all right? So thumbs up if you're ready, or say in the chat you're ready, or raise your hand so that I know you're ready. Good, we're ready. So now we're gonna switch to this one. If you did not finish gray, it's okay, because you will get a photo of it in Canvas. Now let's move to our next one, which is black. And this is why it is so important for you to really look at that value. Remember, this is a participation grade. I am grading whether or not you are identifying and filling in those values. I am not grading whether or not you can draw a perfect circle. I want to know, I want to see that you can draw those values. So I'm going to come in. I've drawn my contour. I've drawn my cast shadow. I'm drawing the values that I see here. And then I'm going to fill them in. I look at my value charts to see where those values are. And you should notice that even though the color of the sphere changed, even though the color of that changed, because our light source stayed the same, the value is the same. And that's why we've done a white sphere, a gray sphere, and a black sphere, because the light source has been the same for all of them, which means the value is the same for all of them. That is the purpose for doing all of this, because I will have students that understand and clearly see the values on a white object. But as soon as color is added, they still are drawing it flat and not adding the value on the actual object itself. So that is why we're doing this. I'm keeping this curved because remember, like I showed last class, if you have two circles that you want to make spheres in the curved way, adding the marks on that curved way, it automatically looks three-dimensional. Even if I change the value from light to dark in this one, because I made my brush strokes straight up and down, it flattened it out. So that's why we're doing it that way. Can I please just know in the chat, or take yourself off mute and let me know that you are still here. I need to know that I'm not used to class being this quiet. Or maybe some of it is you're still getting used to me. But, or raise your hands just so I know you are participating. Thank you. Good, thank you. So I have two students. Where's everybody else? There we go. Are other students still able to answer in the chat? I hope so. I hope you are still here. All right. So here is my sphere. And it's black. Even though my color of my object changed, right, the value is still the same. Okay? Are we ready for the next one? thumbs up or raise your hand so I know you're ready, or type ready in the chat, or I can give you an extra minute. Let me see where y'all are. Okay, we're not ready, so I'm gonna give you just like an extra minute. Right, thank you for letting me know. And while you're finishing that up, you should see that now the light changed just a little bit here, but from gray to black in the same day, even though the color has changed, my value is the same. All right, so you might, hello Skylar, it's so great to see you. You might have trouble seeing the highlight on the black sphere because it's dark and because of the camera. You will see it better in the picture in the assignment, but it is right here. There is that highlight here. You'll see that it's a little darker from gray to black, but it is still there. It is hard to see. Black is the hardest one to see. Okay. And I gave y'all 5 values: white, light gray, gray, dark gray, and black. That's a lot for those of you that this is the first time you've ever done it. So if you're getting white, gray, and black done, that's fine. I will still give you full credit for that. I just want to make sure that you can see the values. Okay. Now, for those of you that are ready for the orange sphere, I am going to use color pencils for this. That's my choice. You can still do the orange sphere with the pencil. You can still do the orange sphere with crayons. If you have markers, there is a way that you can do it with markers. It's just a little more tricky, but you can do it with markers if you want. Right? So I'm going to give you a minute to make sure you have that. And then we're going to get started on the orange sphere. And I want for you to see that on this drawing here, this is my orange, I hope you can see, there you go. This is my orange sphere with a drawing pencil, just so you can see that I have it done and that it looks, so you can compare the two. Now I'm going to do one in color. So are we good to go? Can you type in ready? So we're good to go from the black to the orange, or do I need to wait one more minute? Or you can raise your hand so that I know that you're still there.
Ready.
Ready. Thank you, Jared. Awesome. Jared, I appreciate it. So here we go. Black is going to go away. If you didn't finish, you'll have the video and the assignment. Remember, we're doing this in class, but it's not due till Monday. So if you have to finish after class, that's fine. And I am always available on in the afternoons and on Fridays if you need to have an art talk with me and meet with me to finish this up. I have no problem doing that. I have a couple of students that meet with me every Friday at the same time, and that's fine. So let's look at orange. You have 2 choices. You can draw the outline and the contour of the sphere and the cast shadow and complete it in your pencil with those values, or you can do it in color. So in color, I'm going to draw my sphere, and I'm going to draw my cast shadow. Remember, I think that lead pencils are fantastic for drawing, but not great for shading if you want it to be smooth. Okay, come here. I hope y'all can still see this. Now, I hope that you can see it. I know you can see it in the picture, but there is an orange cast, like an orange look to these to the cast shadows here. So when I'm looking at my orange sphere, again, you can continue with the pencil and work on that. And I look at my value scale. For the purposes of today, the white or the highlight here will be white on the paper. This part right here, that value matches this value. So that means I would have 2 layers of my orange. And then this here is my darkest value, which is here. And I look at my ratio and I see that would be 4 layers of that orange. And that's how you can use this value scale to complete this sphere in color. If you're using markers, it would be white, it would be plain paper, 1 layer of marker, 2 layers of marker, 3 layers of marker, 4 layers of marker. And most markers, when you layer those like that, it does make it darker. Sometimes if you don't let it dry between coats, you'll get a hole in your paper, especially for this. So just let it dry a little bit first. Same thing with crayons. 1 layer, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to show you what I mean. Make sure you're doing that in the direction that it goes. So the color pencils I'm using today are Crayola pencils. Crayola color pencils. They came in this nice little set. It's part of their artist series. They're really great, and they are the closest thing to Prismacolors that I have found that aren't as expensive as Prismacolors. And that is because these are soft core color pencils. For crayons, you of course can use any crayons you would like. I prefer Crayola crayons. That's just a personal preference. It doesn't mean that they're better. I just find that they have more pigment and less wax than some of the other crayons. If you can find beeswax crayons, those things are nice. It's like a true crayon, a true wax. Now see here, I have added this and I've added only 1 layer. And I've done it in that direction. So because I know this value matches my gray, I'm going to add another layer. These pencil marks, once you put color pencil over them, they're there. Or crayon or marker, it kind of seals them in place. So if you don't want those to show, remember to draw them using those whisper lines or lightly erase them before you add your color. Okay. And now I have my darker. Again, you could be doing it like this. You don't have to add color. I wasn't planning on showing y'all color, but I had a student specifically request it, so I'm glad they did. Are there any questions about this so far? Would anybody like to share what they have done? Looking here and I see that value there. Put this here, right? I'm not so used to y'all being so quiet. This is my darkest value, and by looking at my chart, I see that's 4 layers, right? And so I would add in those 4 layers. If you are doing this in grayscale, you're just showing your values here, you can keep it like this, and then if you wanted to, because I can see that slight orange cast on my value, I can add in a little bit of that color if I wanted to. So are there any questions about what I've done? Would anybody like to share with me what they have created? I would love to see it. Yes, you can put it up to the camera. You don't even have to show me your face. You can put it up to the camera and I would very much like to see it. I have found that it normally takes the first student. I will say this is the only class I have with nobody. Oh, yes. This one. Better? Yep, I can. I'm still in process, but there you go. And sometimes on your camera, mine might seem a little bit fuzzy, and that you would need to check your camera settings in your device, because there's a default setting that gives you the lowest resolution of your camera image so that your Microsoft Teams will work faster. It uses less bandwidth that way. Now, this is what I have here for my orange. You can see white, orange, darker orange, dark orange, light orange, right? A little bit darker orange. You can see those values. Now, if you are used to using color pencils and you would like to add in the white to blend it out, you can. Just remember, 4 layers of white, 0 of orange, 3 of white, 1 of orange, 2 of white, 2 of orange, 1 of white, 3 of orange, 4 of orange, 0 of white. So you can add that if that's something that you are comfortable doing. Just kind of blends everything out. Right. So I'm adding my white to these areas just to kind of blend. Now remember, I did not erase my pencil lines, so they clearly show. If you drew yours lightly, they would not show. Okay. And I only drew mine that dark so you could see them better. And then you should be able to see all 4. The value stays the same even though the color is different. Okay? Now, do I have a question? I would like at least one question so that I know we are good.